Hello, hello, and welcome to the Cinema Slice. My name is Tony, and that's Brady over there. And today, we are talking some movies.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and wanted to also let the people know who won the rom com draft from last week.
I'm all ears.
It
Drum
was
roll.
a stunning by 1 point only. Yours truly, Tony Wynn. That's right. That's right. You guessed it.
Ooh.
Um, I am. I want to thank all the little people that helped me get to this part of my life where I'm just that much higher and above everyone else. So want to thank all of you that helped me make this dream happen. So,
You're empowering this man. Just want everyone to be aware.
but as for today, we're going to be talking about our choices for the best directorial debuts. We kind of chose directors that have at least, let's say, like three movies or so, kind of made a name for themselves, and kind of thought who has the best debut or debuts that have come out. Um, and yeah, I mean, this applies to pretty much any director that not just American, but British and Japanese and all sorts of different countries and continents that they might come from. So yeah, I mean, starting off trying to make your very first movie, getting the budget, or maybe not getting the budget, and just doing it on your own. It's got to be not to mention like maybe you're the one who's paying for it. I mean, there's a lot riding on it, and said people have been successful to make even more films.
Exactly. They get the green light. Studios might not want to take a chance. Maybe they're doing it just independently. It's it's big to make a big splash right off your debut.
Yeah, and sometimes it is just a film that is indeed just your first film, just to get you through the door, let people see it, and then sometimes it's a huge hit, and that's all you really need. Um, so why don't we like kind of go back and forth between some of the people? I did find a large list of directors and their debuts, but if there's certainly ones that you want to talk about, we can certainly do that. So, is there one to you that kind of stands out as like, oh, that was a great debut?
I mean, there's quite a few, but I'll start like recently in like the last like 10 years. Like
Okay.
there's a few directors. I'm a big horror guy, but you have people like Ari Aster and Robert Eggers that like really kind of made a splash with A24. Eggers made The Witch, which is a New England like spooky witch tale,
Yeah.
which is great. I'm sure the budget wasn't huge except for maybe like costume and whatnot. Small cast of like four people.
Speaking old English.
And he's impressive because he tends to do that with all of his films. He is a historian, like he's a buff on old stuff and tries to make things as
Yeah.
accurate as possible.
Because he Nosferatu too,
He
right?
did Nosferatu. So he started with The Witch, or it's like two V's, so it's the Vivitch,
Yeah,
as
the
I often
Vivitch.
say.
Yeah.
But he started with that, and then he went on to do The Lighthouse with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, and that's personally my favorite of all of his. But then he goes on to do Nosferatu, or no, The Northman, which is it's Hamlet. It's Viking overtones with Skarsgård.
Skarsgård, yeah.
Yeah, and then Nicole Kidman. It's a great cast. But then he eventually moves on to do Nosferatu, and that's definitely like the largest budget. Like you can see the budget increase with each and every step,
Yeah.
and he's proved that he can, you know, deliver time and
Yeah.
time again. And then you have Astor, who did Hereditary, which I think is probably the best horror movie in the last 20, 30 years. Goes and completely changes, gets away from horror. Well, he does Midsummer following up, which is horror adjacent. It's more like melodrama, I don't know. It is horror, I guess. But
Yeah.
then he goes on to do like Beau is Afraid, and then more recently Eddington, which is a film about like the COVID-19 pandemic and everything.
Yeah.
Just completely changes. It's interesting that we talk about small budget, and for a lot of these folks, that ends up being horror. They'll come in because they're cheap to make. People
Yeah.
will watch them, and then as soon as they get their, are able to secure funding, they go on and do what they really, really like to do.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I concur, and we can kind of go that route as well. Jordan Peele also, Get Out was his his directorial debut, and did fantastic with that film, and thus being able to also maintain, with his follow-ups with Us and Nope, right? And
There's a theme
recently,
there.
like him, was it like his last one that just came out?
I think he produced that one. I don't know if he directed it,
Okay,
but you can definitely see like some influence there.
yeah,
But yeah, it's he's a new auteur, new master at doing these things. I think even for Get Out, he got I think he won an Academy Award for screenwriting.
yeah. I think you're right there.
Yeah, which they always say it's like the cool kids table. Like they're not going to win Best Picture right off the bat or anything, but that's if they can secure that win, that's a good indicator of good things to come.
Right. Yeah. They know enough uh, about how to direct and what have you that the companies can be like, yeah, I will give them more money to make more stuff of whatever they want to do, whatever they want to direct, or what have you. And yeah, maybe the ultimate goal is to eventually do a Marvel film, right?
You never know. That's where the money's at.
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly the direction for modern movies today. Um, yeah, I was kind of going through the list of different directors, and ones that kind of stuck out to me, especially with people who um, have a lower budget, kind of doing it all their own. And I immediately think of Sam Raimi and The Evil Dead,
Absolutely.
which he very much did, by himself, with just a handful of people, and the introduction to the world with Bruce Campbell and everything like that, and then continuing it, with several of the films, that whole Evil Dead franchise, and then leading off to just like we were just talking about Marvel stuff, though, not. I guess technically now MCU, but prior to it, doing Spider-Man and everything. Very, very interesting. Of just starting off with just a cabin in the woods to web slinging in New York City.
And there's something about those Sam Raimi films. Like he's definitely got a distinct style. Like you can
Yeah.
see like the same shots that he does in The Evil Dead. Like there's maybe like a close up of an eye or something, and you can see Tobey Maguire doing this
Yeah.
in Spider-Man, and it's just really interesting to see. Like we keep talking about somebody going from that small budget to a giant blockbuster,
Right.
and they still are able to do. They still have that same vision and everything, so it doesn't completely change them. It's very interesting.
Yeah, one exciting thing about, though I wasn't a huge fan of the movie by the end of it all, but the Doctor Strange Madness multiverse, he directs it, and you're so used to what a typical MCU film kind of looks like, and depending on whether it's like the Russos or whatever, but like, it kind of has a certain look, a certain pacing, or what have you. And then you watch that movie, and suddenly, they're breaking the fourth wall. They're looking at the camera. They're doing the quick zooms and and everything. And it's so Sam Raimi that it's great that he can even with the huge budget, it's still very much his film and his style that you see bleed through a different type of story.
Absolutely. You even see like the I don't even know what we would call it, but like the evil in The Evil Dead, where it's just a bicycle with a camera on it that he's riding through the woods.
Yeah.
And that even goes on to like Spider-Man 2 with like the tentacles. It'll be like a vision of that, like snaking through, and
Yeah.
it's super cool.
Yeah. What do you think about like actors that act first and then become directors? Are there any that kind of stand out to you?
Oh,
For me, I mean, somebody like Ben Affleck. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of what his previous films and what have you. I mean, he was just sort of the Diet Coke of Matt Damon. But then he came out with his own films and stuff, and it was just like, oh man, like he's actually pretty good. He chooses his stories well. He writes as well. And his first film, Gone Baby Gone's great. Going to The Town. I
love The
mean,
Town.
fantastic stuff.
even Argo, he did won an Academy Award for
Argo,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely beneficial. Like I think that you're able to see, maybe like Ben Affleck, I'm sure over his career got to work with a lot of huge name directors and stuff, and kind of see how things are done, and kind of helps them to develop their own style and how they want to do things. And I think it honestly probably benefits them in the long run,
Yeah.
as opposed to somebody just like throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to talk about somebody that's like huge. We think about like Spielberg. You think like E.T., Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, you name it, all these big things. But he started with I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a film called Duel.
Duel?
Duel,
Uh-uh.
and it's a just a straight up chase movie the entire time. It follows a man who's like driving on the highway. I forget where he's going, but somehow he gets into an altercation with like this giant like semi truck, and it's just him hunting him down. And there's just something about the simplicity there, but
Yeah.
he's able to do so much with it. It's no wonder that he goes and does something like Jaws, that he gets the money to do Jaws, which was a financial mess while
Yeah.
he was making it. But he does. There's just something about Duel. I highly recommend Duel.
Okay.
It holds your attention. There's not a lot to do. It's pretty, it's a tight 90, I'm pretty sure. And there's just something about it. And you can even kind of see the influence on things like even this year, like One Battle After Another. The ending towards that movie, there's another chase scene through the desert with all these hills and there's just cars.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that can kind of be tracked back and influence from Duel. And I
Okay.
think that's super interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool going backwards, like knowing, like Spielberg, if you're first introduced to him via, let's say, like Jurassic Park, and you start going backwards and everything, and kind of seeing like, oh yeah, like you could tell that this is very much his style. This is very much the way he likes to write. I really think of that, and I don't know if you've ever seen Following by Christopher Nolan.
I saw parts of it in school. I haven't sat down and watched the whole thing, but it's super interesting.
Yeah, and obviously Christopher Nolan has a style of messing with time. He loves doing that kind of stuff, or just really really high concept type stuff. And then also having a narrator you can't really trust as well.
Absolutely.
And The Following is very much that. And a film that you know Memento being the film right after that, the entire movie is you're going backwards the whole time.
Sure.
With Following, you're like in the middle and you're going back and forth, and it just keeps going this way, and then somehow the beginning or the end of the movie is telling you what exactly is like it's finally going on with this whole story, and it's just really interesting that he. I think he had to do that because of budget and time, because I think he only shot it on weekends for like a year, and had to go through with everyone's schedules. Again, just a low budget, doing it by yourself kind of stuff, and so just that type of like pacing. I'm like, well, all right, I got to shoot this, so let's do this now or whatever, and then somehow like it all kind of pieces together.
Yeah, it's so funny how that works. That you have these like constraints that kind of keep you from making I don't know things that have to look a certain way, like something like Kevin Smith's Clerks.
Yeah.
They shot on black and white because it was cheaper, and just because of that, it gives it this feel and this texture to it that people look back and just absolutely love. So it's interesting to see that maybe those like accidents and constraints kind of lead to something that looks intentional and people come to love.
Yeah, for sure. Are there any other films and director debuts that you really want to kind of talk about?
There's folks that start out with some stinkers too. I kind of want to talk about that for
Oh,
a
yeah,
second.
for sure.
You have somebody like James Cameron, Big Jim, coming out and doing Titanic, Avatar, doing all these giant scale things. But he starts on Piranha 2 back in the day, just some terrible B
Mm-hmm.
movie. And then you get somebody like David Fincher, who's
Yeah,
my
that's what I'm
personal
saying.
favorite, and he starts out with Alien 3, which
Right.
is a real low point in that Alien franchise.
Yeah, for sure. And seemingly going into a franchise already, like, unless you really change it up, it it already has an established fan base, and the expectations for stuff. And yeah, if you can't meet it, or you try your best, but the studio executives have in particular, like, we have to make sure that this works, so we have to make sure that there's a love interest, there's this and that. I'm like, yeah, that's not the story I'm trying to tell here.
Right.
It's just a bunch of aliens on a ship.
Well, yeah, and that's like the notorious James Cameron story. I like to think that he learned a lot from that Piranha 2, because I'm not sure if it was immediately after, but he goes in and you've heard about the pitch meeting for Aliens, right?
Yeah.
Where he just writes Alien on the board and draws a dollar sign or an S at the end and makes it a dollar sign, and everyone's like, well, all right, let's do that. And I'd like to think that he learned how to do sequels, because he did that. He did Terminator Judgment Day. Like, the man was on a roll there for a
Oh,
little
yeah.
while. It's hard to make a sequel that's maybe as good, if not maybe potentially a little better, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, and I mean, I think of somebody who did a fine job and probably was, going into a franchise like J.J. Abrams going into Mission Impossible 3. I mean, the first two, I mean, especially like John Woo did the second one, and it was like, oh, that's such a great one, And, the third one being, it's fine, not absolutely terrible by any means. And most of those movies are just fun anyway, fun action. So,
Turn your brain off.
yeah, and just enjoy it. And Abrams has his own style in it, and obviously that was enough for him to continue the job, and and everything like that.
Absolutely. And then you have somebody like David Lynch who starts out with Eraserhead, which is it's just the whole film's just a fever dream, and people love David Lynch for his like fantasy style and all this, and just I don't honestly I've seen most of his movies. I still don't think I've seen Inland Empire, but I don't know if I've fully sat down and fully watched something and fully understood it completely. But there's just something about that style, and you know what you're getting right off the jump because you watch Eraserhead. You get this creepy baby. There's like weird singing sequences.
Yeah.
Like,
And again, like it just makes sense whenever he would later do like Twin Peaks and other just weird, bizarre, just surreal type storytelling.
Exactly. I just find it so interesting when somebody has a style that you can tell from the jump, and they're able to maintain that no matter the budget, no matter what.
I think of like Tim Burton and Pee Wee's Big Adventure. I think.
So.
I mean, already a weird character, but then building the world around it. You very much see it again when you watch like Edward Scissorhands. Just like the color coordinations and just the quirky characters and everything. But it comes down to your strange, bizarre main character doing their thing, and then proving that you can do that kind of stuff and then do Batman.
Right. Right. You start kind of kick off the superhero genre.
Right.
Super interesting.
One of my favorite debuts is by Ryan Johnson, the movie Brick.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've seen it before.
I've heard about it a lot. It's on my list. I haven't quite gotten to it.
Yeah, I was very, very surprised. It was recommended to me. I didn't know it was Ryan Johnson's first one, but it makes sense. And yeah, that film is a modern noir, but it's like in high school, and like it both plays into the genre of noirs of what you're expecting of the in particular type of lighting, the woman in red and things like that. But then it also kind of makes fun of it, so it's a bit tongue in cheek as well. It's a really fantastic film, and definitely one that if you want to go and see the style of Ryan Johnson and see how far he's grown or maybe not grown looking at The Last Jedi. But he has a very in particular style in terms of, doing the multicast people, like, and obviously him doing murder mystery type, stories later. But then, also you have an expectation of the genre, and he likes to like change it up. So, it's not always going to work however you feel about, a Star Wars film, directed by him. But he was trying to do something different. And you can kind of appreciate trying to change stuff, but maybe not so far into a very, very, very well established and very rabid audience for that. So, you got any recommendations? Are there films that you have always wanted to see but haven't gotten around to that that is
that's a debut?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like especially during COVID, there were periods where I would just like pick a favorite like filmmaker of mine, and I would just watch their entire filmography from start to finish. I did that with like Paul Thomas Anderson, which I highly recommend. Hard Eight. It's a really, really fun one. It's got John C. Reilly in it. But I can't think of any off the top of my head that I'm kind of missing out on. I feel like I often will go back and start to see where they come from.
Yeah. I've never seen any of either of the Coppola, Sophia. Like, I've never seen the Virgin Suicides, and I don't recall what her dad, Francis Ford Coppola, his first films, but I haven't seen any of them. So really? Like, that's just a directors that I've never jumped into before. But I mean, they're famous enough and what have you. So definitely a lane that I'd like to go down and just be like, oh yeah, this is cool.
Absolutely. I don't know. I'm not really sure where his first movie, Scorsese, if it's I'm not really sure if it's Mean Streets. I've heard that before, but I've also heard he did a few things earlier with maybe Harvey Keitel. So I
Hmm.
suppose I haven't seen that yet. I have seen Mean Streets, which I really thoroughly
It
enjoyed. Critically
says
stepped up.
Martin Scorsese. Who's that knocking at my door?
Okay, that's the Harvey
1967.
Keitel.
So that's his first film. Yeah.
Okay, but then you think of somebody like Quentin Tarantino going out and doing Reservoir Dogs.
I mean, right off the
jump.
bat, you know, making such a huge debut.
Somebody like Sam Mendes does American Beauty.
Yeah.
That's their first thing. Goes on to win Best Picture.
I think that is also like the most highest grossing debut of all, like everyone that we've maybe of all time,
Makes
of
sense.
just making so much money off of that. I think of like Orson Welles and Citizen Kane.
How
I
can
mean,
you forget? Yeah.
yeah, I mean the standard for any like filmmaker, like you have to, you know, it's a must
Textbook.
watch, and yeah,
Absolutely.
but like that's a debut, and that's, you know, just a huge jump.
I definitely want to also throw out Robert Rodriguez with El Mariachi. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
ever seen that.
yeah.
I think it had a $3,000 budget, and just like it kind of shows, but just what he's able to do with that.
Yeah.
It's super interesting. I was able to watch that over the summer with a couple of my buddies. We do a movie night, and he just got in a 4K of it and came over, and it was, you know, there's just a mariachi player that's mistaken identity. He's wanted by these cartel like hitman guys, and it's just
Yeah.
kind of him on the run. It's another chase movie, but it's wildly impressive, and I highly recommend it to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Any other last thoughts you wanna talk about any of the directors?
Oh, I don't know about talking about directors, but I think the moral of the story is, I mean, if you got passion, you just got to go out there and make something.
Yeah, for sure.
Develop a style and just keep making something.
I mean, obviously you're um, a videographer here, you know, and a huge movie buff. Has there ever been a want for your own directorial debut, or just something of yours that's been put out that someone can make?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They're always, that was the dream, surely, whenever we all kind of get started and looking into things like video production and whatnot. I think everybody kind of has that dream, but I don't know. It seems like an awful lot of work. Like it's more something that I wouldn't mind helping out on as opposed to it being me being the captain of the ship. It seems like an awful lot.
Yeah, yeah. I want to say, I thought it was Robert Rodriguez that wrote a book of like, for $7,000. This is how he made, I like, maybe it was a mariachi or whatever, but he like literally breaks it down of everything that, you know, whatever, of like, you know, who needs to be paid, and you know how to do it within this type of like low budget. And yeah, I know multiple local filmmakers that, you know, do it roughly around that amount and stuff. And it's interesting that like now you have a hard number, you know, in a way of like, okay, well, do I really want to spend 7K, you know, to
Right.
do this? But then again, I mean, the fact that, you know, Rodriguez did it for 3 or 7,
Made a
whatever.
career
and
out of it.
Yeah, he made a career out of it. It's pretty awesome too.
Because I think about, I don't know, I have made stuff in the past, and it was all like student films and stuff where I had a budget much smaller than three to $7,000,
Yeah.
and the challenges. But it gives it that texture that we've talked about. Being able to, you got to be smart about it. You got to find ways to make things happen.
Make it black and white. Make it mostly dialogue.
Hide the lighting if
Basically,
it's not
Clerks.
good.
Just make another Clerks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith makes it look easy.
All right. Well, that's our episode of the best directorial debuts on the Cinema Slice. Maybe we can come up with some, maybe another interesting draft that we can do for next time. I also have some ideas of maybe, you know, movie related games that we can try out and just see what we can come up with. After all, I'm the reigning champ, and I just want to win some more. So, you know how it is.
See what you've done,
Yes.
America.
Thank you, America, for your votes. So, yes, for Brady, I'm Tony, and this has been the Cinema Slice. We'll see you next week.